Ladies and gentlemen, may I have the honor to invite Ms. Adelyn Zhou, Chief Ecosystem Growth Officer of Chainlink Labs, to share with us her speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a round of applause to Ms. Adelyn Zhou.
Hello, can you hear me all right? All right. Well, it is my pleasure to be back in this region. It's been 3.5 years since I've been here, and the last time was in Shanghai for the Wanxiang conference, also organized by our lovely hosts Hashkey and Wanxiang Group. A lot has changed in that time, and I'm here today to share a little bit about what's happened, but also on the exciting opportunities that are ahead of us in this space. So first of all, you might be wondering, who is Adelyn? Who am I? Well, I'm Adelyn Zhou, and I'm the Chief Ecosystem Growth Officer of Chainlink Labs. I've been working in this space for over 5 years. That's a long time. That means I've seen enough memes and crypto Twitter debates to last me a lifetime. That also means that I've been here during the bull markets and the bear markets, and that I've seen the beginnings of lots and lots of different trends. I've been here since the beginning of DeFi, of NFTs, of zero knowledge, of MVVs, you name it. All these trends, I've been here at the very beginning, and I've seen them grow from merely ideas in researchers' minds into large forces of nature in our space today. And through that, I see that we are in a cusp of innovation, and a lot of opportunities are currently ahead of us today. Of all the different trends that I've seen, one of the trends that I am most excited about is asset tokenization. It's a very, very fast-moving space, and it has the promise to bring huge amounts of utility into Web3. So you might ask, what is asset tokenization? Well, at its core, it's bringing traditional and physical assets and bringing them onto the blockchain. And as part of that blockchain, it confers additional opportunities, bringing it fractionalization, programmability, and other ways that make these way more powerful and create lots of opportunities for everyone involved. According to a Boston Consulting Group study, they estimate that the asset tokenization market will reach $16 trillion by 2030. And this is their conservative estimate. And that conservative estimate equals to 10% of global GDP. Furthermore, major institutions are paying attention to the space. BNY Mellon is the world's largest custodial bank. They're the bank that your banks bank with. And they did a study of institutional asset managers to get their opinions on what they think about this space. And that report found that 97% of asset managers believe that tokenization will revolutionize the asset management industry. And what's even more exciting is that of those asset managers, the ones with more than $1 trillion, basically the largest asset managers, 100% of them are interested in this space. They're interested in tokenized assets. So I don't know about you, but I've always been told, follow the money. And this is where the money is going. So tokenized assets are blockchain-based tokens that digitally represent real-world tradable assets. And because they're on the blockchain, they get a few unique properties. First, fractionalization. Fractionalization is taking a large asset and cutting into much smaller components. So they allow everyone to participate. So you don't have to be a billionaire, and you can, like you and I, can still have the chance to purchase a piece of the US Constitution. Second, they're programmatizable. So what that means is, on the blockchain, you have a concept called smart contracts. They follow logic of if X, then Y. And so similarly, you can take these digital assets and program them with logic to do additional things. You can do lending and borrowing and trading, But on top of that, you can have other products that you and I might not even think about existing, and this type of technology enables it. And then finally, they're asset agnostic. So that means you might ask, what types of assets can be tokenized? My answer, literally anything. Whether it's stocks and equities, to IP and copyright, to fine works of art, to precious metals like gold and silver, or even to that really nice 23-year-old bottle of Pappy Van Winkle locked in your spirits cabinet. Yes, even that can be tokenized. Tokenization is merely part of the evolution of finance. So finance started, hundreds of thousands of years ago, but if you look back a bit, a large traditional part of finance were paper-based forms. So remember the bills, the cash that you held in your pocket? The ones that if you wanted to buy anything of substance, that you'd have to go to your bank, talk to a bank teller, and get lots of cash to use to buy, which was frankly inconvenient and dangerous. And then if you bought pieces of stocks, they literally mailed you certificates in paper formats. And you had to make sure that you guarded that properly so that they weren't subject to fires and flood. And that was paper-based. Then finance moved into more of an electronic form. So we're all the beneficiary of these today because we now can automatically, with a few clicks of a button, send money to each other through WeChat and other systems. We now have our data, though, locked into siloed bank accounts and brokerage accounts. And so while there's a lot of promise and it's really facilitated the electronic change of money, there's a next form of finance that's even more exciting. And that next form is tokenized finance. Tokenized finance in the form of tokenized assets on the blockchain. As mentioned previously, the blockchain confers additional abilities to interconnect all the different systems and can take different types of assets and put them on the blockchain to make them accessible to anyone. So why now? You might ask, why are we talking about tokenized finance and assets today? Well, first, the technology for blockchains and DeFi has battle-tested this system. Each day, billions and billions of dollars, right now, as of this moment, are flowing through decentralized financial systems. And time again, these systems have proven more resilient than many of their centralized counterparts. Furthermore, the asset yields on traditional finance in the off-chain world are really very attractive and high. And so entrepreneuring and builders are looking for ways to bring that assets and those tokens onto the blockchain to benefit from tokenized assets. And then third, the technology for Web3 has matured. The technology is there through systems such as Chainlink, which I helped contribute to help build the core infrastructure that allows the on-ramps and the off-ramps and the connectivity system needed for a new tokenized world. So the benefits of tokenization. There's tons, and these are some of the ones that I am most excited about. So first, reduction in costs. Right, we all want to reduce costs, especially these days. Well, in the traditional world, there's a lot of settlement risks still inherent in the system. Settlement risks in terms of time and for example, G10 government bonds. Those are one of the lowest risk types of assets. Yet even today, it still takes 1 to 2 days to transfer those across 2 different willing parties. With the blockchain, that can be instantaneous, atomic. You can literally have them swap instantaneously, severely reducing the amount of risk and thus costs. An HSBC study has shown that tokenizing of bonds can reduce costs by up to 90%. Superior transparency. Through the blockchain, you have a view into the underlying assets that are collateralizing the different tokens. So you know what type of system risk exposure you are subjecting yourself as owners of these assets. Remember 2008, the financial crisis? Well, during that time, lots and lots of mortgages were given to weak borrowers. And then these mortgages were repackaged and put together into mortgage-backed securities. Mortgage-backed securities, very complex and obscure systems. No one could tell easily what the underlying assets were. And now studies have shown that that was one of the leading causes, the crash of mortgage-backed securities that drove the 2008 financial crisis. The transparency of blockchain-based systems could have reduced that. The blockchain also increases accessibility. So by fractionalizing different assets and taking large mega systems and breaking down them into smaller parts, it makes it so easier so that you or I or smaller buyers can also participate. Furthermore, because of the global nature of the blockchain, we're no longer bounded by geographies. So here today in Hong Kong, you can buy a tokenized share of US Treasury bills easily, just as if you were in Colombia or even Uganda. Enhanced liquidity. So this is very important because in traditional finance, there's a concept called liquidity discount of 20 to 30% for assets that are illiquid. That's a lot of money. And so by using the blockchain, you can reduce that. And in that same BNY Mellon survey that I mentioned earlier, they found that 70% of those asset managers were willing to pay extra in order to access more liquid instruments or have faster asset turnover. And finally, really, really exciting is that this type of system allows for increased innovation. There's opportunities to build completely new products that you or I have not even thought about. And with innovation comes opportunities and growth. And so I encourage all entrepreneurs to think about this space and think about new products, systems, and technologies. As with anything, though, there's always going to be challenges, especially as you're talking about new innovations. Finance has had hundreds of years to evolve and get better, and we're still only in the very beginning days of tokenization. The risks are constantly changing, and so are the challenges. And here are some of the ones that I feel are important to highlight. So first, regulatory clarity. The regulatory landscape, as we in the space all know, is changing by the day. Yet the geographies that have clear, open, regulated policies are going to become the innovation hubs in the future. And so to that point, I want to say, Hong Kong, you are setting an incredible example for the world. Thank you. Clap for Hong Kong. Woo! Yeah, right? We're all here because the government here has clear, open, regulatory policies inviting us all here. So, guess challenge number one, at least we're kind of overcoming that here today. Furthermore, there are other challenges such as connectivity. How do you connect assets to the number of growing blockchains that are coming around today? And also verification. How do you verify that your assets on-chain are tokenized by the collateral off-chain? Well, for these two problems, Chainlink has a solution. Chainlink is the leading Web3 services platform and works with all the top blockchains and hundreds of applications. The Chainlink ecosystem is broad, and it helps secure fundamental parts of this Web3 ecosystem. And I'd like to talk about two different products that address those specific risks. So first, Chainlink is launching CCIP, a cross-chain protocol. As of last count, there are over 225 different blockchains. It's a popular space. A lot of people are building. But with all these blockchains, there comes an inherent challenge of how do you connect the different applications and systems on them. And Chainlink's CCIP solution provides that. So whether you're an enterprise or an application, you merely had to connect to Chainlink, and then you can transfer your tokens and your systems across all of these different blockchains. To the second question of verification, Chainlink provides a product called Proof of Reserves. It allows you to verify on-chain that these assets are collateralized by assets off-chain. TUSD is a $2 billion stablecoin. They use Chainlink's Proof of Reserves to attest that their on-chain tokenized cash assets is backed and collateralized off-chain. And what's even really cool about it is that in order to mint new TUSD tokens on-chain on Ethereum, it has to connect to Chainlink's Proof of Reserves. And if the Proof of Reserve says there's not enough assets, you can't literally mint new assets. How cool is that? As someone who's actively following the space, one thing I constantly look at is where the startups are building. And in my ecosystem role, I get to talk to startup founders all the time and have a pulse on where their thinking is next. And across the dozens and dozens of startups out there, two that I'm very excited about that are innovating the space are Ondo and Goldfinch. Ondo is working with BlackRock, one of the largest asset managers in the world, to tokenize US Treasury bills. To date, they've tokenized about $25 million in US Treasury bills, and anyone who's permissioned and qualified can purchase them directly from their website. Goldfinch is an example of a very cool startup that is focusing on the accessibility part, that benefit of tokenization. So today, anyone with USDC can lend that money to small and medium-sized businesses across the world. To date, over $100 million have been given out as loans to entrepreneurs in Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia. And of course, there are dozens and dozens of other startups building the space, be it in tokenizing gold, real estate, securities, and so lots of opportunities abound. But it's not just small startups that are focused in the space. Large technology giants as well. Siemens, one of the largest and oldest technology companies, recently issued a 60 million European digital bond and vastly cut down the paperwork and certificates needed for that. And then we always want to see where the government and large institutions are focused. So recently, the Singapore Central Bank and Monetary Authority launched Project Guardian to work with major banks like Onyx by JP Morgan, DBS, and SBI. They tokenize Singaporean dollars for tokenized Japanese yen. And they're continuing to pilot additional programs as we speak. As I mentioned earlier, this space moves fast. And a case in point is literally last week, ANZ Bank, one of Australia's largest banks, tokenized for the first time Australian carbon credits. And the carbon credit market is ripe for innovation, especially with tokenized assets. Carbon credits historically are opaque, hard to transfer, and by moving them onto the blockchain, you can easily transfer across different systems. And so this is a really great example, especially if a blockchain ties into sustainability, transparency, and access. So the DeFi market is $55 billion today. Cryptocurrencies as a whole is $1 trillion. Yet those are just tiny little dots on this presentation because they pale in comparison to the quadrillions of dollars that are out there in these traditional markets and systems. And all that is ripe for innovation and moving into tokenized world. So we are at a transformational time. We're at the cusp of innovation. There is so much happening here. I flew 30 hours to come here to Hong Kong because this is a place that's known for finance, for technology, for being the center of a major part of the world. And I'm excited that the Hong Kong government and everyone here has welcomed us to come here to build, to create, and to innovate. And so I urge you to really look around, talk to projects this week, talk to the folks around, and think about the various opportunities that are out here ahead of us. I'm going to be here for the rest of the week, and so I welcome you to come find me. I'd love to chat, about your projects, about the innovation you see, or even debate where you think the Web3 space is going. So with that, enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Adelyn, for your remarkable insights.